Haunted houses. They're fun, scary, and presumably affordable. And this Halloween, I wanted to rank the top 10 haunted houses in all of gaming. My only criteria is that they have to be explicitly haunted and a house, like a single residence. Otherwise, it would just be any kind of building where anything scary happens.
Commentary.
Castle Dracula?
One of the most famous and recurring haunted houses on this list, Dracula's Castle from the Castlevania series. Every iteration of this Transylvanian palace has similarities and differences, but almost all are memorable. From the sequential levels of games like the groundbreaking original and its remake, to the namesake Metroidvania maps of games like Symphony of the Night and Aria of Sorrow. And when it hangs upside down like a bat in Symphony of the Night and you have to explore it again that way, it may not be very scary, but it's definitely a house that's definitely haunted, and it's definitely dope. The cute as heck 3D platformer indie A Hat in Time is the last game you'd expect to terrify you, because up until World 3 Level 2, it's all been whimsical and colorful and fun. Contract 2 of Subcon Forest, the Hat Kid to investigate the house of the girl that Snatcher seems to be stalking. When you reach the area, it materializes out of the fog, a huge haunted manor straight out of Halloween Town. You can't enter through the front, so you have to go around the back, sneak through the basement, enter the house, and then...
Vanessa!
This scared the fucking hat off my head, dude. This went from 2 to 9 in like 0.05 seconds. Assuming she didn't catch you as you stood there paralyzed in fear, first you gotta go in this room and get the second floor key in the fridge by when she'll come around the other side and force you to hide under the piano. Then go upstairs and sneak through the second floor, assuming you didn't hide under the bed for 15 minutes like I did. Eventually, I grew a pair of collectibles and made my way to the attic where the most rewarding timepiece in the game was waiting. Amnesia: The Dark Descent put the horror back in horror games, and every moment traversing through Brennenburg Castle is horrifying. The atmosphere in this medieval Prussian fortress is palpable, from the cold stone it's made of to the golden glow of the lanterns. When you reach the entrance hall, it slowly unfolds and interconnects through the archives, laboratory, and other rooms. And then there's the basement. The flooded basement with the invisible water monster. This whole place is just... how can something so not fun be so fun? It might actually be a nice place to live, if not for the deformed monsters chasing you into every crevice and corner in the joint. Haunted house levels are a staple in Mario games, except for Odyssey, which still makes me really sad. This would have been potentially so good that I probably would have won this spot, but I guess that honor goes to winner by default, Big Boo's Haunt from Mario 64. I adored this level as a kid. It's one of the first things that resonated with me so deeply that I realized my favorite theming is horror. Everything about it is unique within the game. After playing through the first act, Big Boo beckons you to the peaceful courtyard. You kill a Boo guarding a tiny cage that you shrink down to miniature size to enter. Already different than jumping into a painting. Inside the cage is a large mansion home to all the Boos, where an exclusive song props up the genuinely spooky atmosphere. A surprising variety of rooms like the Mad Piano, library, and merry-go-round, and the missions were great too, telling a bit of a story throughout the whole level. And once you enter Big Boo's Haunt, the ghosts all exit into the courtyard. You just kicked them out of their home and now they got nowhere else to go.
As the congressional debate over gun control flares up yet again, we regret to report the murder of a wife and her 2 children by their husband and father.
OPT, a game that feels closer to reality than the actual game it was teasing. In this now unavailable legend, you wake up in a dark room, enter an L-shaped corridor where some insanely scary shit happens, and exit the other end only to wind back up in the beginning to do it all over again. That's the whole thing. Well, this would have been the whole thing. But imagine how scary this is to be ranked so high. And when you finally escape, you discover the fake-out twist that you were Norman Reedus the whole time. And then comes the real twist that this was just a playable trailer for the next Silent Hill game made by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. It's too bad that Silent Hills will never happen, because if the hallway alone is this scary, imagine what the rest of the house would have been like.
You bastard.
The Roivas Manor is unique both as a hub world and as a haunted house. From its minimalist music and its famous bath jump scare to its eye-popping scenery and the ancient haunted city that it was built over to hide from the world.
There must be some clue in this old mansion revealing what happened.
Eternal Darkness begins with the main character Alex Roivas investigating her grandfather's mansion after he was murdered. She finds a hidden room full of ancient artifacts, including a book called the Tome of Eternal Darkness. As she reads it, the player plays it. Each chapter a different character from a different time in history in a different level.
The mansion has its secrets, I'm sure. And in my time here, I have to make them mine.
Two of which also take place in the mansion. The player then returns to Alex to find the next chapter like a scavenger hunt. This process is repeated until the very last chapter, which takes place in the present day and is written by the main character herself. And these little intermissions in this spooky Rhode Island manor, built by early American settlers from the Mediterranean, are the dopest parts of the game. Man, how I love this place. I can easily say that I played through Luigi's Mansion more than any other game in my life. When Luigi wins a mansion in a contest he didn't even enter, the scaredy sidekick must step out of Mario's shadow and save his brother from all the ghosts in the Mushroom Kingdom. Dark Moon's 5 mansions were all cool, but weakened by the game's mission structure, and as awesome as The Last Resort is, it's got too much going on. But every room in Luigi's original mansion makes sense and seems like it could be there. This place is so brilliantly designed, from its narrow hallways to its secret rooms, collecting all kinds of treasure and busting all kinds of ghosts, from the various normie enemies to the spooky family of 23 portrait ghosts to the booze and the debut of their king who caused this whole ordeal. I even just love the look of the place. The whole mansion is so dusty and quiet and eerie. It's a remarkably dark game. Unlike Next Level Games entries, the original is one of the moodiest productions Nintendo has ever made. It's obviously not survival horror scary, but it possesses a moody tone, and it is pretty damn scary as a kid. And it's just the quintessential dope as hell Nintendo haunted house game featuring their green underdog. Although not a full house, but a single apartment, Room 302 from Silent Hill 4 is one of the scariest places you could ever wish to not live in. Henry Townsend has been living in this apartment for 2 years, but suddenly he starts suffering from a recurring nightmare until the day he wakes up to find his front door chained from the inside. Things get even weirder when a hole appears in his bathroom wall, acting as a portal to some strange otherworlds. Despite being trapped inside, it ironically feels like a haven for the first half of the game, the only place of respite from Walter's nightmare worlds. It even compels you to save all your items by regenerating your health bar. However, once the game's second half strikes, things take a complete turn as Room 302 increasingly becomes haunted. Appliances come to life, a fright of apparitions appear, and health is no longer auto-healed. You need to use saint medallions and holy candles to exorcise these hauntings to avoid the damage that is now inflicted and the bad endings. Oh, and it's in first person, so that's something. There's so many little details that make the room feel lived in. Checking on the outside world, spying on the hot neighbor, receiving notes under the door, interacting with every single thing, saving, and of course, inventory management. Endless amazing plot points that naturally involve the room. Room 302 is one of the dopest haunted houses in gaming because of its deep atmosphere, gameplay elements, and relevance to the story.
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Barry, and myself. We don't know where Chris is.
The OG video game haunted house. So much began in the Spencer Mansion. Fixed camera angles that blind you to whatever monster makes noise in front of the character, obscure but narratively symbolic puzzles, pre-rendered backgrounds that showcased greater detail on the hardware. The PS1 version is important and iconic, but the remake is what we're really thinking here. A fully faithful recreation with some extras that fully capture the horror of this place. The better realized pre-rendered graphics were combined with real-time lighting that creates this photorealistic after effect that still looks so amazing. Established in 1967 by Umbrella Corporation as a facade to hide research and shipments, it was contaminated by the T-virus and overrun by zombies before spreading to nearby Raccoon City. It's also where the series established typical survival horror gameplay, exploration that makes large use of small areas, collecting keys and puzzle items to open doors and progress, found in one part of the world and used in another so they send you back and forth. The Spencer Mansion is a haunted house wonderland whose blueprint is etched in the minds of countless gamers. The excursions to the strange cabin, secret bunker, and underground layers so mysterious and foreign you think, just what the f is going on here? The two character selects basically offer two mirrored adventures within the same space. The traps and enemies, imagery and set pieces, level design, and secrets. The Spencer Mansion is easily the dopest evil residence in all of Resident Evil. In the Fatal Frame series, you play as adorable Japanese girls taking photos of ghosts, and it's one of the best, one of my favorites, and one of the utmost terrifying survival horror games of all time. And the first game features the dopest video game haunted house, the Himuro Mansion. In the Mutsu region of northeast Japan lived the Himuro family. For centuries, they were the guardians of a gate to hell deep underground beneath their home. They kept this gate closed through brutal sacrificial rituals in which a young girl was torn limb from limb until the time the ritual failed in 1837. Himuro Mansion would then be haunted until 1986 when Miku Hinasaki came in the first Fatal Frame game. Over the course of 4 chapters, the mansion slowly unravels and connects through its various passages and rooms and secrets, a linear progression through an eventually open-ish area, taking pictures to do everything and defeat enemies, unlock doors, and some obscure, repetitive puzzles. The series' typical Japanese imagery on full display, from the architecture and floor plans to the furniture and decor. Even the map is super clean, given a name that often reminds me of Luigi's Mansion. I even just love the spacing and structure of the place. I just love it as a house. I'd live there despite it being haunted. Fatal Frame games are unbearably scary, and the atmosphere in this decrepit Japanese palace leaks out from the TV and envelops the room you're playing in. The original Fatal Frame is the premier haunted house game. Himuro Mansion is the dopest video game haunted house. But what about you? What's your favorite video game haunted house? Let me know in the comments, hit the like button, and sub to the channel.